What's going on, guys, and welcome back. I don't have to promote it anymore. We did it. We hit 5,500 subscribers, so that means you must be subscribed. You must comment down below, and Discord is linked in the description. I will post about the winner. I will make you verify through Discord, so make sure you come join that as well. But that's it. Subscribe. Comment below. One winner, we'll probably do the next week, Monday, we'll reveal the winner. Will win a case of set 7. So again, subscribe, comment below. That's it. It's that easy. No strings attached. But without further ado, guys, we have Blurple to talk about today. We've been doing it this way, and you guys seem to really like it. So we're going to keep on doing it. I was strongly debating playing this deck at the World Class Cards 5K this weekend in Fond du Lac. However, just kind of with what I expect the field to be, I decided to go a slightly different route, playing a different deck. But I still think that this deck has a place in the meta, and I think that this version of it has that place, and I think it could be solid. I didn't feel incredibly comfortable. I wanted more testing, and I've been very busy. I haven't been able to really grind it on Lorcanito as much as I wanted to these past couple days. Especially with all the new results coming in as far as which decks are topping, winning, all that. I want to look into the deck a little bit more, fine tune it some more, and we'll definitely bring it to some real life events moving forward. This is just being a major event. I wanted to bring my best chance I felt to win the event, not just go there and do well with a slightly lesser deck, because that's the goal at the end of the day with something like a 5K, is you want to win. So we are taking our best chance to do that. So unfortunately, it will not be with Blurple. I think Blurple would give me a strong chance to at least make a push at top 8, but at the end of the day, I don't want a strong chance at topping 8. I want to give myself the best opportunity, period. A couple things with Blurple. So I've actually been working on a updated, more aggressive Blurple list where you hit that ramp on 2 and then just start spamming out characters on turn 3 onward and just overwhelm your opponent that way. So in that regard, we see things like Maleficent and Tinkerbell taking front and center stage. There's a lot of threats in the game, like Belle on turn 1 potentially, that not only can you do, but Rafiki is another good answer to deal with those types of things, or say to trade with a Calhoun, or just at least have that threat, like if you exert your Calhoun, I'm taking it out with a Rafiki. Just a way to get strong value off of your weaker cards. Belle, she's going to be more if you're playing like some type of item package, even if it is just the popsicle. We've seen that come out already. Hiram, again, I don't think he's needed with the Amethyst draw engine, even if you're playing the popsicles, and at most I'd play him at like 2, but even then, again, I don't think he's really needed for that draw because of the Amethyst engine. You do have Belle as a potential option. I played her last format, absolutely loved her. The way this format is, if it starts to become more of a going at their board, more aggressive style format, maybe. One of the most aggressive strategies in the game right now is protected by ward because of the Savvy Sailor. So overall, I don't know if Belle is in the best spot in this meta, but she's definitely a card you want to keep an eye on. Baymax being able to get you that instantaneous lore, and also doing what Belle would do in healing your characters, but getting you the lore for it. I think I'd rather play Baymax this format over Belle out of the 2. Moving it to your opponent obviously is a completely different ball game, but getting the lore from it, I think, to speed the deck up and just allow you to challenge into them and then play it, move the damage, get lore as if you quested in the first place, is kind of a similar fashion as to what you're accomplishing with them. It's a steel meta, so Cogsworth should get a lot of attention. This card is very good. We've seen him creeping back up to that $4 mark. He was like $1 last format. I'm personally playing a different card, and we'll talk about that shortly. But I do think in any type of steel meta, Cogsworth is very, very strong. And he's very strong because he himself has ward. So he has ward, the 5 defense. That's going to be very difficult. You just kind of build up your board and then all of a sudden start questing for like 7, 8, 10 in a single turn. And you just win so quickly against your opponent. Donald Duck definitely saw a lot of play last format too, just getting that extra ramp with the multi-quester. Not as big on him this format, but if you want to play it, I definitely don't think he's a bad card. One card that I tested and ultimately took out was Camilo, because unlike the other bouncers, like Camilo is really nice. You get him down on board, and then the following turn, you say you play an Elsa or Hades, you exert the cards, you ink their cards, and then you quest with Camilo, you get your lore, and then you bounce Hades or Elsa back to your hand that same turn you played it while Camilo's on board, and then you get the lore for them. So you get that 2 or 3 lore by bouncing them, and then next turn you can play it again, quest with Camilo, bounce them, you get that 2 or 3 lore, and it just creates a really nice loop. Whole New World's really the only thing that's going to hurt something like that, but overall I think that the Camilo play has a decent spot, especially with him having 7 willpower. Again, it's a little different than, say, play your Hades or your Elsa and then also playing a Snake or a Fox in the same turn. This way, just it requires a turn setup prior, but it doesn't require as much ink in the process, or leaving it on board to get potentially be prepped or some type of removal. Yzma hasn't really seen play in quite a while, but she's a good way to out big problematic cards. As long as they don't have ward, get those Tamatoas gone, get those half sharks gone. Yzma could potentially be an option that you want to go for. I think Hades overall is better because they don't get the 2 draws for it. However, she's inkable, she's 4/4. There's a small argument for her. Again, I still think Hades is much better, but Yzma is a card that maybe she finds her way back into one of these formats. We kind of mentioned it with Hiram and not needing the draws and the consistency being there. So I don't think Gaston is, again, needed. I don't think the consistency is needed. But he quests for 3 and he's a 4/4 body. The biggest downside is you already have Hades and Elsa, which are high-cost uninkable cards, that it makes it very difficult to justify putting in Gaston as well. If you're playing that item package, maybe Tamatoa comes in for you. It's going to crank that cost to the deck up. I think he's 100% unnecessary, but I have seen some people experimenting with it and enjoying it. Personally, again, I think that Tamatoa is unnecessary in Blurple, but if you want to do it, I don't have an issue with that. I don't think songs are necessarily as big of a problem right now to warrant Ursula, but she's another card that just always keep an eye on. You ramp, you can get there early, and turning off your opponent's songs, or making them hard cast them rather, is just very, very strong. In addition to that, she quests for 3, and when she quests, she exerts an opposing character. That's pretty good too. And then lastly, Mufasa. I tested him out last format and this format. Still kind of just meh feeling about it. I think he can be strong. He allows when you like ink from your Tipo, if you have to put a card you don't want to in there, to potentially get it back, or inking cards off the top of your deck, however you're inking. I think he does offer some niche interactions, and also being able to reset your ink in that grind game can be just game ending. Overall, I think he's okay, and it's more of a tech spot. It's a preference spot. Do you want to play it? I don't think he's going to ever be in the majority or the deck core, but overall, I think Mufasa is just it's a strong tech option if you're looking for something like that. Develop Your Brain and Visions of the Future. They're just more inkable, low-cost consistency cards. I would potentially play Vision if I was lacking consistency, but we've already said it twice. I don't think that the Amethyst engine really lacks consistency. That's why so many people enjoy it. Hideaway is a very cheap option to get rid of those pesky locations, which are seeing a decent bit of play right now. Like, you have to respect locations, I feel like, and if you don't, you might be in trouble. Also, it can, hit an item, so there's that. How Far I'll Go, All Is Found, a couple ramping songs. Being able to put 2 cards from your discard is kind of crazy, and it's inkable. Like, that's kind of crazy. How Far I'll Go, I love this card so much. The consistency aspect, seeing both cards, absolutely love this card. I played it a lot last format. Might mess around with it more this format. I don't know if it's, again, quite needed, but it's one of those cards where into that grindier game, getting to look at 2, see which one you want to add to your hand, and then inking the other one, it just always felt so clean versus something like Donald. But sometimes that board presence of Donald is what can win you the game, whereas the How Far I'll Go is not going to matter. Let It Go, it's just another form of removal. It's an inkable Hades that doesn't leave a body on board. Lots of people play it at 1. Absolutely. If you want to do that, I have no quarrel with you whatsoever. And then just, I mean, there's not a ton to say about the items. I think Lucky Dime, it kind of falls into that Gaston area, and so many people are already playing item hate that I'm not huge on it, because you already have Elsa's and Hades as high cost uninkable cards. If you want to play Dime, you like Dime, that's okay. Just be ready for it to get destroyed before you can use it, or after you only get to use it one time, because so many people are in fact ready for it. Fishbone Quill, Great Stone, just great ramping tools. Do you use them? I'd lean towards Great Stone Dragon in Blurple personally, but overall, I don't know that either one really needs it. Fishbone can be nice too, though, because you have so much drawing, you replace your hand anyway, so there is an argument to be made for either of them. Personally, I play neither of them. That small item package, like the popsicles, paired up with those bells, it's a 1-cost card that draws you a card. It replaces itself. In addition to that, the healing factor comes up a ton in a deck like this, where your Elsa has 6 willpower. Your Hades has 7. No, Elsa has 5, right? She's a 4-5, 5-4. I'll find out here in a second. I really am just like brain dead at the moment. Hades is the 6 willpower character, and you just have these big, Genie has 4 willpower. So having these, or no, she's a 4-6, ain't she? Because she survives the Long Came Zeus. But having those types of cards to be able to heal them is going to just benefit you in the long run as well. Library, McDuck Manor, like I said, locations are on the rise. You can guess which one I'm playing. It's the one I've been backing for since it came out, pretty much. I think it's the best one to play in this deck. And secondly, I think McDuck Manor would be my go-to. Library, if you really need the extra draws, if you're really starving for that, I get it. Don't give me the 8 willpower is so much better than 7. It is not that much better than 7. And I will die on that hill. I think that I've never had a game where I said, Library won me that game. Castle, Manor, I have said, Library or Castles won me that game. Manor won me that game. Those types of cards, I think, can win you games, whereas something like the Library just pushes you ahead further when you're already in a decent position. So now this is the list that I had and was going to play this weekend, card for card. 173, so relatively budget as far as competitive decks go. Dreamborn link is down below. We got Diablo and Broom in our 1-drop spots. So why these two? They're both potential card draw cards. And in addition to that, so like Diablo, Broom, and then Tipo on 2. Coming back then, especially if you're on the draw, with a Crab to boost a Broom or a Tipo and swing into something, and especially if they survive it because the 2 willpower, that's why we're playing Broom over Chernobugs. Or throwing down your Crab, giving your Diablo the 3, crashing into something more valuable on your opponent's side of the board, and then you get to draw a card because your Diablo got banished. Playing the 4 Crabs, you can kind of see there on the screen as well. That's why we went with the 1-drops that we did. Again, it pairs up with Tipo really nice as well. You don't bounce your Tipos to play it to re-ink, things like that. Save your bouncers if you can for your impact cards in that mid to late game. I hate inking them, but sometimes you have to ink your Foxes, your Snakes. I really try to save them until I can just start recycling like my Elsas, my Hades, my bigger blowout cards, my Goats when I'm trying to close out a game, things like that. Because we're not trying to play Snakes on the early game, I think 3 is plenty. There's a lot of consistency in the deck. There's a lot of card draw. And again, you don't necessarily want to see it right away. So playing it at 3 has been working out really well for me. 4 Foxes, 4 Crabs, both pretty standard there. We got 4 Genies, 4 Goats. I think right now I like where Genie is at more than last format. Last format I went 2 Genies and 4 Rabbits. This time I'm going 4 Genies, 3 Rabbits. Overall, I just think Genie applies a lot of pressure. And outside of like a Long Came Zeus and Brawl, he's not being answered as well as he was last format, at least right now. I do expect that to change at some point in this format, but for right now, I think that Genie is just a strong Amethyst call. If you're playing Amethyst, I think you should be on 4 Genies right now. Two queens. Queen has put in so much work closing out games. The threat she applies, you put her down versus like Sharky popsicle decks. You put back three of their not items. Put back three of their actions to just really hinder what the half shark can do. Or versus like item decks, you put three of those items back, so all of a sudden your opponent's Tamatoas aren't coming out and being as crazy as they could be. Or you have a princess in your opponent's and all of a sudden you just get 4 lore. Like the pressure she applies, and she can be good versus anything. Just the fact that they know you're going to get 3 lore, boom, right there. Especially at that point in the game, if she's on board ready to be exerted, there's a decent chance that you have goat, bounce goat. So I mean, you could potentially get 5 or 6 lore like that without even questing. That's kind of threatening. Elsa's still very strong. Green Steel discard is still a thing. Getting rid of Diablos is still a thing. I respect Genie and want an answer for it. Things like that. The Shift Elsa line live too. I think that Elsa is still a 4 of in Blurple. And then I said it. We're not playing Cogsworth with the resist. I think that Aurora is actually the better call right now because it forces the Zeus on Aurora. And if you come out with Genie the turn prior, there's a decent chance that they Zeus the Genie right away. And if they Zeus the Genie right away, that's one less Zeus to deal with your Aurora. Now if they can't deal with your Aurora, your other cards have ward, and now they're safe. If they didn't Zeus the Genie, now they have to Zeus the Aurora, and now your Genie is safe, and they need another way to deal with your Genie. So I think that giving your opponent, your characters, ward in this steel meta is so strong, and I think that Aurora is insanely slept on right now. And when I was testing this deck, she was one of the pivotal points, and she was putting in so much work for me. I think Aurora is insanely slept on right now. And if you're one of those people who like to foil out your deck, she came in the structure deck, so it's really easy to get them. And if you don't have them, well, you can get them. Items, locations, Cusco, Cusco, Cusco. But we're only playing one. It's pretty much that. It's Yzma, but for items and locations. Your opponent does get to draw 2 cards. I get it, but sometimes you have to get rid of that. You have to clear it, and you don't want that item to go to the discard. So you play your Cusco, and now it gets inked, and he's a 3/5 multi-quester, and you can bounce him and do it again. So I think that Cusco is it's a strong one of right now in this current format. I think Hades is better than Elsa right now as well. I liked Elsa as a 3 of last format. I actually was testing 4 Hades at one point, but I wanted to bring that unequal count down just a smidge. So we go 3 Hades and 2 Elsas. I think that Hades is the better of the 2 right now in this format. 4 Sail the Azurite Seas. You really want to hit that ramp on 2, whether it's Tipo or C. And then we have 4 Friends on the other side for consistency. And 3 Queen's Castle. So against those slower decks, it's turn 1, turn 2 Tipo or Sail, turn 3 slap a castle down. Then on turn 4, all of a sudden you can play a character, move 2 characters to the castle. And now if they don't answer that castle right there, you're drawing 2 free cards off of it. So it's already getting almost equal value that your library would have gotten. You're getting multiple lore for it. Your opponent has to come up with a way to deal with it right away. And guess what? If they can deal with castle, more often than not, they could take out the library too, and they're going to take out the library before the characters because they're not going to give you the free draw. The best part about library is you move a character there, like Chernobogs or Broom, you quest with it. Chernobogs, you pop, you draw 2, or Broom, you play a character and you pop and you draw 2, or you move Diablo there, you crash into something, you draw 2. The best way for library is that immediate return, but it comes at the cost of losing your character. Castle, on the other hand, forces your opponent to take it out, and if they can't take it out, they might have to go after the characters, which means the castle survives, which means you're getting more lore, and you're building up, and you're going and dictating how they respond to your board a little bit better. So overall, I think that the castle is the better of the 2, and that's the deck that I was going to play but decided last minute not to. Like I said, this other deck I just felt like gave me a better chance overall, and something this magnitude I wanted to give myself that best chance. If it was like a box tournament or something like that, I mean, heck, even a case tournament, absolutely, I would trust taking Blurple to a case tournament. But this is more than that. It's a lot more than that. So I'll let you guys know how we do. Thanks for watching. Again, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment down below. That part's really important on this video. Thank you guys for watching, and until next time, take care.